Hello to all masters and princesses. Welcome back to the Uncle Yoshi channel. I have a treat for you guys today because I got access to an article from Guitar Magazine. It's from Japan. They posted an article about Kanami's gear, and a good amount of it is covering her pedal board, and they also go over a little bit about her amp and a couple of her guitars, but most of it was on the pedal board. And if I recall, a good amount of you who watched this practice rehearsal video, a lot of people commented saying, what's this pedal board about? Like, what are those thingamajigs down on the floor? Some people don't know guitar stuff, but they would like to know. So I'm like, yeah, that would be a great video to do. And luckily, now that I got access to the article, I think it just came out last Friday or something. So we're gonna go dive into all the stuff, all the good stuff, especially the pedal board, but just mention some of the amps. She got the amps and the guitar. We'll do that later, but I'll just tell you that the amp is a Bogner Pandora. Like, it's a Bogner Ecstasy Pandora. There's the usual regular Bogner Ecstasies out there, but the one that has Pandora is very, very like rare, and she got one of these, which is amazing. So there's a lot of things going on with this amp, and she's got the regular Mesa Boogie 4x12, and then she has the usual, the go-to Custom 24, and this is the 35th anniversary, and I'll go into detail about the switches and the pickups and stuff later in the video, right? So what we want to do is get into the meat and potatoes of the Kanami pedal board. I'll just get the accessories out of the way. She uses Ernie Ball regular slinky. The gauge is 10 to 46, and the guitar picks are medium thickness. It's not thin or it's not heavy. It's just right in the middle thickness. And the pedal board, I'm going to give you a closer look. Looks like this, right? So she's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14, 15, 16, something like 16 pedals and other things. There's one underneath, maybe 17, somewhere around there. So that's a lot of stuff, right? The good part is the article actually numbered them, and let me show you the numbered one here, right? So this is the full image, the full view of the pedal board, and it starts from number 6 and ends it with number 23 because there's a preliminary setup before the pedal board, and there's a post. There's one that's after the pedal board. So there's 1 through 5, that's the preliminary, and then 24 to like 27 or 28 is another one after the pedal board, and I'll cover both of those along with this, right? So where do we start, right? Like, in order to understand this whole process of the pedal board, it's good to know what's called the signal chain, right? And probably some of you know that, when you get your guitar, you plug it in with a guitar cable into a pedal board and into an amp, right? And the amp is either, it already has a speaker. If it doesn't, you have another wire coming out of the amp and into the 4x12 cabinet like the one Kanami uses. So this is an example of Kanami's signal chain, where she has the guitar and it's hooked up to a transmitter of a wireless transmitter, right? It's called a wireless system. And this transmitter is usually like a backpack on the back of her guitar strap. And then there's like a short wire that goes from the guitar into the transmitter, and it wirelessly sends the signal, the guitar signal, over to this receiver. And you have 2 antennas, and I believe one antenna is the one signal, and one antenna maybe is for Miku, maybe, like you can, this is a dual band, so I think you could do 2 signals, or it could be Psyche's mic. I have no idea how they set it up, but that's how it works. So it goes into, after the wireless system, it goes into this thing called a wireless input selector, which I'd never heard of before, but this is where you get to learn about really good professional stuff, right? And this wireless input selector goes into the pedal board, right? And I think it's a cable that goes from this wireless input selector into the pedal board. But as far as this receiver, I think the receiver will connect to the wireless input selector wirelessly. Now after the pedal board, you have to connect it somehow or some way to the amp, right? And most people will connect it to the front of the amp. There's like a hole right in the front of the amp, right? Somewhere near the switch, like a power switch. But there's also send and return effects loops in the back of the amp. So some of the pedals will go in there. And then from that amp, it'll go to a 4x12. And that's how Kanami has it. So let me show you an illustration of the front and the back of the amp, right? So this one is the front, and the power switch is here, but the input is all the way on the other side. Sometimes it's over here. It depends on the amp maker, but the plug goes in there. So from the pedal board, it goes into this front of the amp, and she'll get the sound. But there's also 2 holes here in the back of the amp, and that is what's called an effects loop. So there's one called the send, and there's one called the return. So a signal will come from the pedal board into the send, and then goes out the return. I forget, one or the other. I don't remember now. But one's out and one's input, right? Let's just say. So those connections, this one in particular, deals with certain effects. And let me show you back to the board. I'll go here. These 3 pedals, one over here, here, and here, 17, 18, and 20, are what you call modulation pedals that deal with delay. Delay is like, you know, when you strum a note or a chord, it goes bup, 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 and it keeps repeating. That's like a delay pedal, right? That's a delay pedal. And then she got 2 of them here. Number 18 and 20 are delay pedals. And this one on the left, the Eventide H9, does delay also, but it also does harmonizing, like pitch shifter. Like it has more than one note when you turn it on sometimes. And then you could also have chorus, you could have flanger, you could have reverb. You have all kinds of different things. It's like cooked into one, right? So the Eventide H9 sounds really good. You could get awesome spacey sounds. You could even make like UFO sounds if you want. There are a lot of videos out there on YouTube if you want to take a look at them. But I'll give examples of some of the pedals through BandMaid songs later. I'll just edit out some BandMaid songs like, oh, in this part they're using this and this and this, and I'll do that later, right? Now you see this guy here. This is Daisuke Kondo. He's Kanami's guitar tech. And let me show you the beginnings, the preliminary stuff before the pedal board, right? The signal chain starts from here. And you have the Furman M8LX, so you plug in all of your power sources here. This Kanami Hills Furman thing will connect into the outlet to get power. You know, in Japan it's 100 volts, but in America it's like 115 or more or less. So it has to get the proper voltage, and by plugging all of your amps, your effects, and all of those other things that require power into here, it regulates the voltage in a nice way, so it optimizes the usage of each and every component that's in Kanami's gear. So Furman is basically what's called a power conditioner. All right, so she has one of these, and for some reason it's called Kanami Hills. And these 2 things that are protruding out are basically lights. So it shines light going down this way. Because if you think about it, Daisuke is in the back, and usually in the back there's no lights, because the lights are pretty much shown on Miku, Saiki, and Kanami on stage. So if it's dark in the back, you could turn on these 2 lights and it'll shine down and you'll be able to see what's going on. So the guitar, remember I showed you the transmitter thingy, right? The guitar will transmit the signal into the receiver here, right? This is the Shure ULX-D4D, and that will take the guitar signal and feed it into the Free the Tone FC363, which is the wireless input selector, and maybe it connects wirelessly, I'm not sure, but I would think that's how they do it. And from this unit, this free to tone unit, it goes out to the pedal board. Now you have number 4 and number 5 indicated here. Number 4 is the free to tone ARC3, which is a pedal programmable switcher. You program these things one at a time. You have clean, crunch, drive, and this special switch here. You have a boost and you have a solo, right? So I think this one here engages the effects like the H9, the delay, and all those things. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it seems like. But clean is clean, right? Like there's no distortion or anything like that. But crunch has a little bit of distortion, and then drive is the heavier sound, right? And then she has boost and solo. I guess she'll use the boost in certain parts, like maybe certain parts need to be a little bit louder than usual. She'll push the boost. And then the solo is basically when she plays guitar solo, so she'll switch that on, and a bunch of pedals and other things will go on and make it sound better for lead tones, right? Now, if you like to get all of the names and the model numbers for each and every one of the pedals, starting from 6 all the way to 23, I have a list here. I mean, you can get it from the Guitar Magazine article too, but I made a list here like this, where it starts from 6 and goes all the way to 28, which I'll cover the last 4 later. But you can take a screenshot here and you'll have all of the information of Kanami's current pedal board, right? All the pedals that she's using now. So this unit here is the free to tone ARC3 programmable pedal switcher, and they have it here for the guitar tech, right? This is not for Kanami to use. Kanami has the exact same thing on her pedal board, right? So there's a duplicate, and I think they're synced. So if for whatever reason that Kanami's playing something and she can't control the pedal board at all because she's busy playing some kind of lead solo or whatever, and it needs to change, then I think the guitar tech will push the button and change things while they're playing. So that's why they have one in the back over here where Daisuke can control things, and Kanami also has her own over there for when she wants to control things. So that works out in you know, it's like a team. Like they're both able to do what they need to do during the live performance. Now, this thing here, I should kind of mention that it's controlled by what's kind of a programming language called MIDI. So when you push a button, there's like these MIDI control signals that go to all of the things that are connected. And some say go on, some say go off, or do this or do that. So that's the kind of language that are, it's like a programming language that goes inside the unit. And then so this is number 4. Number 5 here in the back is a tuner. Maybe, you know, Daisuke does the guitar tuning before the show starts. He'll tune the guitar and he'll use it from the back over here. And there's also a tuner in Kanami's pedalboard as well. We'll go over those little things, you know, one by one. All the little gadgets on her pedalboard, we're going to take a look one at a time. So how does the signal from the rack system get connected to the pedalboard, right? And I think it's this line of wires in the back that goes all the way down here into the Bad Horsey. I think this wire here is connected to that number 3 unit, which was the wireless input selector. The signal goes from there into here, and then this Bad Horsey, and it's a Morley. Now, what is a wah? For those of you who don't know what a wah is, take a listen to this. So you hear the guitar going wah, 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 like you can hear Kanami playing that on the song Look at Me, right? So now where does that signal go? It goes and connects to this loop box here, and a loop box is basically, it's kind of hard to explain until you really figure out what this is, and I'll explain what this is later. It's made by Free to Tone, but it's a loop box that connects this drop pedal here and this drop pedal here. She has 2 of them. Now people ask, why would you want the same thing twice, right? Like, well, one of them is used as a pitch down tuner, right? It tunes it down one semitone, meaning if you have a guitar that's standard E tuning, it'll go down to a D sharp or E flat. Okay, so some songs are, down tuned like that, and other songs are regular standard tuning, so she'll change it up with this pedal, right? And then number 9, also connected to the free to tone loop box, is an octave pedal, and I'll give you some samples of this octave use, the way you use it as an octave. Basically, if you have a high E note and you play it, it'll also play a low E note, so you're hearing 2 sounds, okay, 2 notes, even though you're only playing 1. So take a listen to this. Okay, so hopefully you got an understanding of how the octave pedal is used, the drop pedal as an octave pedal. You get the high note and you get the low note, and it's you can hear it in the song Screaming, Bubble, Warning, and probably a bunch of others, right? And those are some of the songs that come to mind with an octave pedal. So where does it go from number 9? All right, where's number 10? So 10 is a programmable pedal switcher, right? It's like the mastermind unit of controlling everything that you see on the pedal board. Well, almost everything, right? You can turn things on and off and stuff like that, as well as you can also control the channels in the amp and other things in the amp, okay? So the amp has clean, crunch, and distortion, lead tone. There's 3 different tones in the amp, so you can control it with this, right? And I'll give you examples of how it's used, how it could be used. I don't know exactly how they use it, but I can give you some examples later. But let's go over the pedals that are connected to this ARC3 unit, right? And you can connect up to 8 pedals, right? The reason why there's a loop box here is because there wasn't enough pedals to go in here. I mean, switches or connections to go in, because there's only 8 and she needed 10. So I was like, well, I can't put all 10 in here, so that's why she used this free to tone loop box connected to this guy, so it makes it look like it's 10, right? So that she can control this with this guy, all right? Along with number 12, 11 and 12. 11 is a compressor. Basically what it does is it squishes the sound and kind of accentuates it. I don't know if you can hear the difference, but I'll give you an example of how Kanami uses this Cornish compressor. The article says that it's mainly used for clean tones, so I don't think she uses it for anything else but clean tones. And there's a song in my mind I'm like, all right, that song probably has, so I'll play that a little later. But for now, let me give you a couple of demonstrations from another compressor pedal that has a kind of a clean tone demonstration and a lead tone demonstration.
That's off and now on. You can hear it gives it that nice chimey character that I love. Get everything popping through for tapping stuff. With it off, got really like pressed for it, right? But now you can just easily play it.
For number 11, you have number 12 is a boost. The boost pedal is basically, it just boosts the volume up a little bit more. It gives it a little bit of a oomph, right? And number 12 and number 13 both do the same thing. They're both boost pedals, right? Let me see what they say. I think that they're kind of used differently. Like that, she has two of them. I'm like, why would you need two? Like, I'm thinking you only need one, but there's two and there's a reason for it. All right. So according to the notes from the article, it says that the EP booster and this EQ pedal on number 14 are used as boosts. So there's a boost switch here. So if you push it, these will get activated, right? But according to the article, it says that she doesn't really use this that often. I'm like, oh, okay. And so you have another boost pedal here, and this one is sometimes turned on as a booster during solo. So over here you see the solo button. So when you hit the solo button, this boost Friedman Buxom boost pedal will be activated, and it'll give it a little bit more boost in her lead solos, right? And just for those of you who don't know what this pink one is, it's called a Choco Cornet EQ pedal, okay? All right, so next one, you have the Janray pedal. And I bought this last time I was at Japan when I went to see the Day of Maid show. And by the way, that Day of Maid show is going to be on the new album if you buy the Blu-ray version. But you have to buy the first press release. I'll do a video on that later, but man, I can't wait to hear that. But anyway, this Janray is an overdrive pedal that gives you a little bit more distortion to your amp signal. So the amp already has distortion. It could be used on a clean channel. It could be used on a gain crunch channel, on a lead channel. You can just kind of blend it in, right? And according to the article, it says that the Janray is used on the clean channel, right? When using Janray, the amp is switched to the clean channel and is responsible for the crunch sound. So when you hit crunch, it looks like it'll tell the amp to go to clean channel, but it will activate this and give it that nice little crunchy sound. And maybe she doesn't like the crunch on the Bogner. Well, that's how it looks like it's set up at the moment. And we have number 16 here. That is a noise gate. So sometimes when you have a signal of, like, say, the Janray going and a couple other pedals going on, you might hear like this hiss noise. Like it's like a noisy signal that comes through, or, you know, in between parts of the song where there may be like silent pauses. You don't want this sound coming through the PA speakers or even the guitar, so in the guitar amplifier. So when this is turned on and you're not playing anything, it'll remove any kind of like noise, right? So it's called a noise gate. And this noise gate is called IG1N. And I think this is a free the tone. Yeah, free the tone noise gate. And I don't have a noise gate on my pedal board because I don't really get that much noise, but I guess in her case she does. And so that's 16, right? So there's number 7, loop number 7 is this one here, H9. And then number 18 is free the tone delay. So these two pedals are going into the free the tone as well. So those are the pedals, right? All the way from the EP booster, 12, 11, 12, all the way to 18. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 are all connected to the ARC3 programmable switcher, and the drop pedals as well because of this extension, right? It's a loop box that has two pedals that could connect with this. So it's really 10 things that she can control with this ARC3 unit. All right, so far you're okay following through. Hopefully you didn't get lost there's more to it after we just covered 18. There's still 20, 21, 22, and 23, as well as 19 as well. So let's go to 19, right? So after we finish 18, that's the last pedal in the programmable ARC3 pedal switcher, right? The output from this guy goes into this volume pedal, right? And this one's called the Baby Perfect Volume. Yeah, Baby Perfect Volume. I'm not familiar with this one, but it's a volume pedal. Basically, you could just make it no volume or high volume, all the way up or all the way down. And you also have a volume knob on the guitar too. So if you don't want to mess around with the guitar, which I usually don't, you can use this pedal and say, I don't want that much pedal. I just want to make it a little bit softer, and you can push the pedal down and control the volume, right? Now, the article says that the output goes to this volume pedal and this tuner. So I don't know exactly how that works, but it's saying it's going out from this pedal and this pedal, and the maybe it's from here to here, and then it goes out somehow. You know, I don't know where the wire is, but it goes back out to the Bogner amplifier, and I believe that will go into the front panel of the Bogner amp. Okay. Now we also have this number 20 and number 21 and 23 we didn't cover. Number 20 is it's another delay pedal, and this one goes into the back of the amp. It's the send and return that I was telling you about before. Remember, there was like a back panel, and then you see the send and return. So this pedal through this junction box, I think there's 20 and 21, and you can't see the junction box, which is underneath here. So let me go to their webpage, which looks like this, and I don't know if it's like the small one or a big one. I don't know which one they're using, but they have these junction boxes, right? And I think maybe this goes out to the amp, possibly. I'm not 100% sure how it's rigged, but there are many ways to connect a bunch of things into the amp, right? So at least you have a visual idea of what it looks like, although we can't see it on her pedal board because it's underneath the drop pedal. So this junction box connects this Eventide along with this guy here. And I thought this was connected to loop 6 of this thing. So not exactly sure how that's wired, but that's what it says in the article. And so you have Eventide connecting to the junction box, as well as this noise gate. And then from there, it is connected to an EQ pedal. This is in the secondary pedal board that's behind the amp again, that we haven't covered yet. There's another EQ pedal that's like this, but it's a little bit more advanced. It's like there's two different like switches. And then I think it's like program. It's one of those programming versions, not like these little dip switches that you can just program the EQ pedal. I'll show you that in a little bit, right after I cover this. So, but it says here, the time factor is connected via the junction box into this noise gate, and it goes into this EQ pedal called the PA10 behind the amplifier. There's another rack, like not a rack, but a pedal board. And it says those 3 units are looped to the send and return of the amplifier. Remember, I showed you the back of the amplifier a while back, and I'll bring it here. It's this thing here, right here. Okay, it's in there. It goes looped to the send and return of the amplifier in order for the time factor to receive the signal back, right? So it'll come back, right? It'll come back into this, and back into this, which is quite confusing. I don't know how that works. Okay, so I'm just telling you what they say in the article at this point. Oh, okay. Now I'm understanding a little bit. So there's 2 IG1N. There's one in the back of the amplifier amplifier. This is like a little mini pedal board here. And this is 26, the EQ pedal that I was telling you about, the PA10G. There's an EQ pedal there, and that's where the send and return. Okay, so it says here there are two IGN 1Ns. So we have one here and one on the pedal board. And 16, which is the one on the pedal board, that's for the guitar. But for this one here, it says there's noise coming from like suppress the noise caused by the images on the screen and LED lighting during live performance. So there's other type of noise that comes through when you're playing, so they have another noise gate in here to eliminate that noise. Okay, now there's a few more here. There's number 27, which you cannot see. Now I'll switch over to the screen here. I looked for it, but it was hard to find, so I think this is a discontinued product maybe. So this is the mini amp gizmo MIDI amplifier controller that you don't see behind the back of the amp. It's underneath it, right? It's underneath something. So right underneath the noise gate, the mini amp gizmo is supposedly there. And this is a MIDI amp controller. Let me see what it says here. The mini amp gizmo placed under the noise gate is connected to the amp via MIDI via the ARC3, the pedal switcher, right? And so it says that this amp, mini gizmo, the mini amp gizmo, controls the amp channel switching. So when you push those switches on the ARC3, it'll tell the signal to go all the way to this thing, and this thing will go tell the amp clean, crunch, or lead, or something like that, right? I think that's how it works. And so there's one more unit here, HX stomp box. The XL stomp box this is not even like connected, it's just there as a backup. That's according to the article. So wow, that was a lot of stuff, and I hope for those of you who are not used to gear and stuff, didn't fry your brain, but we have more to cover. Okay, so hang on tight. We'll get to the next part, which will make a little bit more sense. Now, this is just something I think they do. I'm not 100% sure, but you see the programmable switcher here, and it says 0001, right? Now, BandMaid plays about 20 to 23 songs depending on the venue. When I went to New Jersey, they only played 16 songs, but I think it's because they were like exhausted, tired, so they cut down the songs. So I think the guitar tech will program one as the song number one, and Psyche usually makes up the set list, and the guitar tech will say, well, number one is, usually it was Domination in 2022 and 2023, so they would have all the settings for Domination. And then as the set list gets more into the ballad, softer, slower tempo songs, and maybe it's like song number 12 or something, right? So it might say 12, and that number 12 is, say, Daydreaming, right? So Daydreaming, it'll say, make the amp a clean channel, right? And then turn on the Eventide H9, which is like number 7 or 6 in the loop, and turn on the Cornish compressor, right? And then free the tone delay and make it all work. So let me give you a sound sample of Daydreaming here, just to get an idea. Okay, so I think you guys noticed that I removed Psyche's vocals, right? So you hear the guitars a little bit better, but there's clean tone sprinkled in with all kinds of like nice sound, So I'm not sure which pedal she's using there, but I'm just giving you an example. Like, they're probably using the Eventide H9, and the delay, and maybe the compressor, because she likes to use the compressor on clean tones. So there's a lot of thought and engineering behind each and every song that they play, right? They come up with all the right pedals, all the right, I guess, say permutations. You know, the delay settings, or just to set the delay alone could be, you know, it could take some time. So between Daisuke doing all the work and then conveying that to Kanami and making sure that Kanami gets all that understanding together, they craft the tone and make it work well with each and every song, right? So I think that's what's going on, and this is just my personal opinion. I don't really know for sure, but this ARC 3 unit looks awesome. They have a new one. I think ARC 4 is out, and there's Boss ES8, there's Crocodile One Control, there's a whole bunch of different ones, and I'm really looking into the Morningstar pedal. It's kind of a smaller version of this, and it looks really interesting. So when I start building my pedal board, I'll show you guys. And right now I have the Janray pedal, the the EP booster pedal, and then I got one of the drop pedals, and I might need to buy another one because I didn't know she uses the second pedal as an octave pedal, right? So now we get to the guitars and the amplifier. On the right here, you have the Bogner Ecstasy Pandora. I always skip Ecstasy, but it's Bogner Ecstasy Pandora. And the Pandora is like an upgrade of the regular Ecstasy. And I wish I had more information about the amp, but it's better to just go watch Riza's video. There's a guy named Riza something on YouTube, and I've been commenting on his channel, watching all of the amps that he has. He has a whole bunch of different amps, and I think he has this one. So I'll leave a link down below, and I might, if I can get a snippet of his amp sound, I'll put it in here. So the Bogner is 3 channels. You have clean, crunch, and super distortion. There's 3 different channels, and there's all kinds of knobs and buttons there. And I wish I can show you, but I don't have the amp, so I can't really tell you. But Riza has it, so you can take a look at Riza's video. So that's that with the Bogner amp, and Kanami uses the 4x12 Mesa Boogie cab. And on here, the picture you see like a square box, and sometimes it's an angled one. Like when you go see BandMaid play live in America, she rents them. So she rents whatever is available, and then she'll use that, right? So it's not a big deal, like if it's a little different, but she likes to have the straight version. I have one of these as well, but I have the traditional one. They have one that's a bigger size, and there's the regular size. And I have the regular size, but the one that's slanted, I have the bigger size. I have 2 of them, right? So and the guitars, there's just 2 of them here. She has a lot more than 2, believe me, she has a lot of guitars. But this one here on the right is her go-to main guitar that she's been using since like 2020 or 2021, because it came out in 2019. No, it's 2020, because the 35th anniversary version is a limited run, and if you wanted to buy this one now, you can't, because they don't sell them anymore, unless you might find it on eBay, you know, resell, you know, whatever, right? It's like, it's probably going to be like $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the condition. And what makes this interesting is that the headstock, you know, it's a little bit different, right? And it says 35th, and I'll show you later. And then it has like these switches here, and this one here it has the same switches just like this one. This one is the 2023 Tiger brown color, Tiger Flame or something like that, and it's relatively new, and she used this one at the Day of Maid Okuji, and I was there, but I didn't see it because I couldn't see most of the members. I was like, the view was really like blocked by other fans, But even if I did see it, the colors, you know, when she's playing on stage, I probably wouldn't be able to notice the difference unless I could see the headstock, right? So let me go to the next slide just to show you the back of the 35th anniversary. So this is the front and this is the back, and it's the same color, right? And you see the wood grain, everything's nice, right? And white tuning pegs. Yeah, that's that, right? So you have the switches. Oh yeah, this thing here, I was telling you about the switches. These change the on-off coils. It turns the coil on and off on the pickups. So what is a pickup, right? Pickup is these things right here. See that? These are magnetic poles. There's one on the bottom, one on the top. Okay, they both make slightly different sounds, and the one on the top is usually for like clean tones, and then the bottom is for like distortion tones a lot of times. But what you can do is see these switches on the, you see two switches. One is for the top here and one is for the bottom here, I think. And so this white selector, if it's pushed down, this is activated, right? And if this is all the way switched up, this is activated. And if you put it right in the middle, in between, both of them are activated. So you can turn off the coils with this switch. The bottom switch here probably shuts off one of these coils, you know, like one of the bars, right? And then this one on the top will shut off one of these. And I don't know if it shuts off the bottom one or the top one. I don't know how that works, but it's supposed to give you all kinds of different tones by shutting them on and off. But I don't know how much Kanami uses, especially on live performances. I don't think she messes with the switches too much. I think she has it mostly on this, and sometimes she'll switch it to this on the top. Yeah, so during recordings, maybe she might mess around with it, right? So let's get back to the, yeah, so now this one here, you see this pot here? This, it's not the same as this one, right? And it's because she replaced it, and this is some type of a silver cap, and I found the website that actually sells this cap. It's a site called Charme de Magie. And I'm thinking maybe because it says Maggie, and that's why we have a song called Maggie on the new album. So Charme de Magie, and I think it's the Charme de Magie shop, and I think it's some kind of French brand maybe. See, it says Charme de Magie, and Kanami bought one of these. It's not cheap. It's $200 for just the cap, right? And you can select like, you know, different ones here, right? You want this one, and you want, you know, maybe this pink one or whatever, right? So you can pick up one of these, and if your volume knob breaks, you can put this one on, right? I guess she wanted to get a little fancy. Now, getting back to Kanami's 35th anniversary, I was telling you about the headstock. The picture that they provided in the article didn't go all the way to the top, so I can't see the logo on the top, but on the bottom here, this is a truss rod cover. So the truss rod cover, like when you take this off, there's a rod inside, and you can make adjustments with it, because if the neck is starting to warp a little bit, or like the intonation goes off, the guitar tech will go in here and make adjustments. It'll turn it left or right, however they do it, right? But it's a nice little cover that says 35th anniversary, right? So I'm hoping that if I ever get a PRS Custom 24, I'm hoping I would get something like this, a 35th anniversary. And if I find the right color, it doesn't have to be the same red color, but as long as the color is good for me, I would consider getting one of these down the line, right? So now let's go to the newer guitar. And this one, I think she picked up not too long ago, because she did use it at the Day of Maid Okuji. So probably sometime earlier this year, she bought it, right? And there's more like close-up pictures of the switches here again. and she's got gold pegs here. On the other one, I think it was white. And notice that these numbers here, right? So 23 here means it was built in 2023. This is the serial number, and the 10 on the top right over there means the wood that was used to build this guitar is in the category of what's called top 10. So top 10 basically means the guitar wood is so good that it will be classified as a top 10 wood. And so when you buy these guitars, it'll be more expensive, but when you look at the wood grain, right, it just looks a lot nicer. So let me show you that. See, you see all these lines coming through, and they like to call it like tiger flame or something like that. This is a top. It's a flame maple top, I think. And yeah, it's really nice. Beautiful design. Kanami got this recently. And then after the Day of Okuji concert, she made a little comment on her Twitter account saying, by the way, did you notice that we used the new guy in today's serving? And this translation is not correct. It's not exactly correct, but he says, I'm still growing it, so I won't be using it much yet. That's not the proper translation either. But basically, she's saying, そういえば今日の給仕で新人くん使って so she's saying, I use some new thing, a new person. She's like saying, I used a new person. She's referring to this new guitar, right? And did you notice it and did you like it? She's asking that. And then she says she wants to like nurture this guitar. It's still new. And until next time, she'll use it again here and there. Okay. Here's one more picture of the 2023 guitar. It's not the best angle to look at the guitar, but I think it's the same one here because you can see the gold pegs on the headstock there, right? So that kind of wraps up the two guitars that were featured in the article, but I think there was a huge buzz about Kanami's new guitar, custom guitar, which is the private stock, right? So this one, I think, is the private stock because the headstock, I think here looks black rather than gold, but it's really hard to see. So I'm not 100% sure if this is the one that she was raving about. And the private stock is like super expensive. You're looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. So she had it custom made, and we haven't seen the full picture of it yet. But I heard the headstock has like a BandMaid logo on it, and she loves this thing because the wood quality is like beyond top 10, right? It's like it's so good that when you play this thing, it just roars and the sound comes out like you wouldn't believe. I've heard other people who played the private stock were just blown away by the quality and the craftsmanship of this guitar, right? So yeah, I've never played a private stock, but I would love to try it one day. And the rumor was that maybe it's a Kanami signature guitar, right? Like we were all hoping for one, but we found out that in order to get a signature guitar from PRS, you really gotta be be able to market it and promote it. And there's only a handful of people that are PRS artists right now. So to be continued. Hopefully Kanami becomes more famous and gets recognition to the point where PRS decides, hey, let's do one, right? At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but Miku has one, Misa has one, so we're hoping that Kanami gets one too. And here's a screenshot of Kanami back in the day. She tried out a bunch of PRS guitars. This is a young guitar video on YouTube. And this one here that she's holding is another private stock. And it has like a dragon inlay. And, she's got a chance to play these type of guitars. So I guess she's accustomed to it, or at least used to it. And that's why she got the private stock custom that one that she has that I showed you before, right? So I think that's it. It's a long video, but if you watched all the way up until this end, thank you very much, and I'm sure Kanami thanks you too. Same with the Guitar Tech guy, Daisuke would thank you too for watching all this. And yeah, I appreciate all the support and likes and the comments that you guys are putting through the channel. I think I'm at like 1,700 somewhat subscribers, and hoping to get to 2,000. I just got tickets to BandMaid Nagoya show in the fall. I put in the order. Whether I get him or not, we'll see. But usually, you know, when you're Omeshu-sama member, you get them, right? So I'll find out in a week or so. All right. So any questions, comments, you leave them down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new. And you know, whatever I said in this video, there could be some mishaps or errors that I've mentioned. So, you know, if that happens, let me know in the comments, or, you know, leave them down below if you know better. That would be great. And hopefully we'll have more information about her guitars and other gear down the line, as well as Miku's and Misa's and, you know, everybody else, right? I hope we get more information about that so we could do these type of videos. All right. Thanks again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.